Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a science fiction thriller film, Stowaway. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The crew of 3 dock with their starship to Mars for a 2-year science research mission. As the mission commander, Marina is taking off, together with biologist David and medical researcher Zoe. The significance of this trip to Mars is so extraordinary that even the veteran astronaut Marina's heart beats fast. Followed by some violent vibrations, they safely pass through the danger zone. Zoe is mesmerized by the breathtaking beauty of the space. David reckons with a smile that it is his best trip ever. When the spaceship is approaching the destination, Marina successfully docks it to the space station. Then various parts slot into the space station to unroll the solar panels to provide power. When that is set, the trio move into the space station and settle down. Everyone is relieved at the arrival and excited for their new chapter of life. Zoe does a quick health check for the team and gladly concludes that everyone is fine. The sight of planet Earth is so beautiful that each glance brings abundant joy to Zoe. So far, the trip has been a smooth sailing. Marina reports the current status to the mission control and ensures them they are confident of accomplishing the mission. Among the crew, Marina is in charge of the technical operation of the ship. Zoe carries out medical research and takes care of their well-being. David shoulders the crucial responsibility to cultivate plants that are suitable for Mars and looks into expanding the Martian ecology in the future. While the scientists are occupied with their research work, Marina walks around the spacecraft to check its device and relevant data. Suddenly, a drop of blood on the command module floor catches her attention. Looking up, she finds the blood dripping from the overhead compartment of the starship. She quickly drills it open. To her shock, when she pops the overhead compartment open, a bloodied body tumbles out. Worse still, the connecting pipe is going to break due to the overwhelming weight. As Marina tries her best to hold up the man, she is injured. At the same time, the broken pipe leads to severe gas leakage. Fortunately, David and Zoe come over to lend a helping hand, saving the golden time for salvage. Marina shuts the leaking valve, but the situation deteriorates so drastically that she has to close the cabin. On the other hand, Zoe gives the man an emergency treatment. He has a long cut on his waist and is bleeding profusely. After Zoe stitches up his wounds, his condition is kept under control. While the man falls in a coma, the crew gather for a discussion. They have no idea about the identity or motive of the man. Just when they are rendered clueless, Marina discovers his work pass and confirms the man's identity with the mission control. But she is told that he is not part of the mission. Marina hence suspects that the man is a stowaway, but no one knows why he would board the spaceship. Marina has to take more rest until her arm injury recovers, so most of the workload falls on Zoe and David. One dire consequence they are faced with is the rising level of carbon dioxide. To keep the cabin safe, David takes out the spare oxygen cylinder and releases it. At this time, Stowaway wakes up and wobbles out of the cabin. When he sees the Earth through the porthole, he is totally freaked out. The fact that he has gone out to the space is unbelievable. When Stowaway is confused, Zoe tells him to calm down. It takes a while for Stowaway to regain his composure. He has many questions to ask, and so do the crew members. It turns out that Stowaway is a launch tech of the Space Center, but he does not know why he is jammed up in the crawl space. The last thing he remembers is having a walk with his daughter. When Stowaway learns that the spaceship has been sailing for more than 12 hours, he begs Marina to send him back to Earth. No one on board is authorized to entertain such a request. In order to give Stowaway some personal time to juggle such an accident, the trio left his cabin. Later, Stowaway picks himself up to face the music and apologizes to the crew for his ruthless reactions. Marina updates the mission control about Stowaway and waits for their further instruction. Though Stowaway does not join the trip by his own will, he will have to work together with the team for the time being. On the second day, Zoe takes Stowaway around for orientation. When Stowaway sees the Earth, he is much more calmer. Still, the pretty blue globe pierces his heart. Stowaway soon keeps himself busy helping David. On the other hand, Marina has performed a thorough check of the broken cabin. To their dismay, all the damaged parts are burnt down, and the chance of repair is rather slim. The life support system of the spacecraft, which removes carbon dioxide from the air, is destroyed severely. As a result, carbon dioxide is increasing, while the oxygen is dropping. Marina informs the headquarters about the detrimental challenge, but she receives no reply. It is clear that they will have to deal with the matter themselves. Marina explains to David that the life support system fails to create any oxygen from now on. So their life depends on the existing amount of oxygen. Marina is curious if David's plants can produce enough oxygen for their survival. However, the amount of oxygen produced by the plants is negligible. To save time, David offers to try it with newly cultivated seaweed. But it is up to chance whether it would provide more oxygen. Then, he begins to cultivate algae. Zoe and Marina have brought the malfunction critical equipment back to the cabin, hoping that it can be repaired. The good news is that the algae do release more oxygen. But David is reluctant to continue with the work. These plants are to be sent to Mars for life cultivation. So it is really a pity to just make oxygen out from them. Marina understands David's concerns, but the life support device is completely burned and beyond repair. They will have to deal with the shortage of oxygen sooner or later. Their survival is at risk without enough supply of oxygen. Without much choice, David puts his important plants aside and fully focuses on cultivating more algae. However, even though more algae are grown, the amount of oxygen it can create is far less than required. Stowaway has gradually adapted to life in space and become more actively involved in the expedition to Mars. To their dismay, the new batch of algae cultivated has all died. It is a blow for David and a fatal wound for the ship's crew. Then another fatal blow comes from headquarters. In response to their report, the mission control does a simulation and finds out that the remaining oxygen could only support 2 people. Given that right now, there are 4 passengers on board, meaning 2 of them have to die. Marina gathers the 2 scientists to reveal such a stark reality. Even with David's plants supplying oxygen for a 3rd crew member, they still have to give up 1 life. Since Stowaway is the extra one, David and Marina suggest dumping him. But Zoe is totally against the plan. She argues that sacrificing Stowaway is no different from committing murder. Given the current rate of oxygen consumption, there is still enough oxygen to last for a while. Zoe urges the team to think of other solutions in the next 10 days. Should all other plans fail, they will turn to the last resort. However, Stowaway knows nothing about the crisis, and the rest just pretends nothing happens. Time ticks away day by day, and the oxygen is running out. Zoe cries in secret, because there is no way for them to restore the equipment. So all she has done is buying a little time for Stowaway. David breaks with routine, and explains the situation to Stowaway, providing him with a painless lethal injection. After all, as a Stowaway, he cannot contribute to the mission, but he is consuming their oxygen. Stowaway feels guilty for being such a burden to the crew, but committing suicide is nothing simple. During his struggles, he has tried to administer a shot, but in the end, he gives up. However, the fate of the mission depends on his choice. After much consideration, Stowaway bids farewell to his daughter via a video call. Zoe happens to discover Stowaway downcast in pain and sorrow. The injection syringe lying on the floor says it all. Zoe does not want to give up so easily. She encourages Stowaway not to give up with her own story. Zoe was once drowned, but saved in the end. So even in the direst situation, she does not say die. Since there is time before the dateline, Zoe asks Stowaway to cheer up. Moved by her sharing, Stowaway finally stops his attempts to commit suicide. Zoe then speaks with David and rails against him for his immorality, but David insists that the current situation rules out other choices for them. It is unfair to accuse him of killing Stowaway. In fact, to save the crew, he has foregone his plants cultivated for years. Those plants might not be important to others, but to him they are as precious as his own life. David in turn criticizes Zoe for not fathoming his sacrifice. Zoe continues to search and try various ways to resolve the crisis, and she thinks of a solution. There must be extra supply of oxygen in other parts of the spaceship. As long as they climb the tethers, they will be able to locate and obtain the emergency supply. Stowaway wants to give it a try, but he has not been trained for spacewalks. Even though Zoe gives him a detailed briefing and demonstration, Stowaway cannot master the movements. If the crew decides to go ahead with the plan, David will have to venture together with Zoe. However, let alone various kinds of potential risks, when they move out of the cabin, they will deplete the oxygen supply. If the mission fails, the crew is doomed. However, if they do not take the risk, Stowaway will have to die. After rounds of careful considerations, Marina endorses the plan. She makes clear to David and Zoe all the precautions before they embark on the journey. So David and Zoe leave the cabin to climb up the tethers. At first, it is very difficult for them to move up, but the situation becomes better when the space station rotates and the gravitational pull weakens. They slide smoothly across the solar panel. As David wanders far away, Zoe pulls him back, and then they have to descend to the destination. Even though this part does not require much strength, each of their movement holds Marina breathless. Followed by their safe landing on an intermediate position, they have to go further down. Zoe's heart almost falls out during this part of the mission. When she tries to open the door is swung open, and its handle flies off her hand. Fortunately, Zoe is not injured, and she manages to go in safely. According to Marina's instruction, Zoe measures the pressure of various pipes, and confirms that they are filled with oxygen. David then assists Zoe in filling cylinders with oxygen. When they are filling the second cylinder, an emergency breaks out. A high-energy solar flare coming towards them triggers the alarm. Marina commands them to come back immediately, so Zoe departs the place, before she can fill the second cylinder to the full. On their way back, Zoe loses her balance and falls down. As a result, she loses the oxygen cylinder, which is fully filled. Although they return to the space station before the solar flare arrives, they do not bring back much oxygen supply. The one cylinder they take back contains very little amount of oxygen, so the four of them are now in a predicament. If they do not do anything, they will lose their life soon. On the other hand, the radiation of solar storms is so deadly that once they go out, they will be severely injured. Stowaway volunteers to retrieve the cylinder left behind, but he cannot even climb well. David intends to make the sacrifice, but Zoe insists on doing it. She explains that David is a father, and his child needs him. In the end, Zoe bravely sets off with the astronaut attire. Fully exposed to the radiation, her skin is burnt. Overcoming many hurdles, Zoe brings back the cylinder. Marina's heart aches as she looks at Zoe suffering from the radiation. Zoe's great sacrifice brings tears to the remaining crew. In the end, the cylinder is delivered to the spacecraft safely, but Zoe is not able to return. At the last moment of her life, Zoe sits still on the top of the cabin. The solar flare takes away her life, but her sacrifice rekindles the hope of the rest. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Peace out.